Man, this car makes me feel so alive.
I'm alive.
Woo! Yeah, I've been stuck in the house all week. What's going on,
car family? I'm Isha Wayne.
I'm Ben Wayne, and thank you for joining us
in another video.
I think you're just going to steal the intro, huh?
I'm going to steal this channel.
Right. Anyways, today we're cruising in a 2020 Bentley Continental GT V8. V8 is my favorite model over the W12, and I just wanted to take some time today to talk to you guys about why I prefer this model over the more expensive and faster W12. So this particular car has been finished in Windsor Blue. The interior is called Porpoise. What do you think about the color of the interior?
It's okay. It's along the lines of a gray.
So it's not really you, huh?
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with gray, but it's kind of like it's almost kind of similar to like an olive.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, right?
So the spec
like
on this one is just okay, yeah. So why do I like the V8 over the W12? Well, for one, and most importantly for me, is I think the V8 sounds better. It has more of a growl to it. The sound of this car it feels beefier. It truly sounds like it has more of a throat to it, a growl to it, an undertone to it. And I think that's something I enjoy hearing while driving. But most importantly, the MSRP on this car when compared to the W12 model is about $16,000 cheaper. Now, I'm not saying that a person who's in the market for a Bentley is necessarily looking to save money, right? This is not
right.
A car you buy when you're trying to like pinch pennies or anything like that. But, you know, while I'm saving $16,000 on the MSRP, I could put that additional money towards further optioning out the car the way I want. Mm-hmm. Special paint colors, special finishes, special features. For example, this rotating display alone in this car cost almost $7,000. And back in the day, I know like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you could be driving on the street and see a car for sale on the corner for less than $7,000.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm gonna put money into a car, I'd rather spend it on optioning it out the way I want, as opposed to, you know, just a huge power plant that I probably won't use. Right? So, and when I say that, don't look at it as if it's just another typical car, like, for example, a Mercedes S560 compared to an S63. Nobody's gonna look at you in this and be like, oh, you know, you didn't go full-fledged, you know, or, you know, that's not an AMG model, so it doesn't count, right? That is different when it comes to Bentley. When you buy a Bentley, it's coming with a lot more clout, right? Because you don't see these cars every day. You know what I'm saying? So once you see this car, it has a wow factor regardless of the power plant. And quite honestly, in order to determine which power plant this car has, it takes a trained eye. So Isha, for example, the W12 model, the exhaust system, the exhaust tips on that car have an oval shape to it, right? And you would only know to look for that if you truly knew about these cars. Now on the V8 model, the exhaust tips have a figure 8, representative of the 8 cylinders in the power plant. So it's small key features like that that set the two apart. But again, the cars look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So you're still getting that wow factor for technically a cheaper price, which you could then put that money towards optioning the car out the way you want. Now let's talk a little bit about the performance. Now, of course, the W12 is faster. It has a top speed of 207 miles per hour. That is impressive.
That's
I'm not even gonna lie.
necessary.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna get to.
I mean, that's more than holding on to your butt.
That is way past holding on to your butt. Where are you gonna go 207 miles per hour in the States?
Yeah, just knock it off.
You're not gonna do that. And then, you know, that W12 also goes 0 to 60 in about 3.7 seconds, which again is really respectable. But again, how often are you really going to be doing that? You might do that 0 to 60 more often than that top speed for sure, when you're like merging on the highway or when somebody's trying to cut you off, which happens all the time here in Atlanta. But compared to the V8 model has a top speed of about 198 miles per hour, right? So I just don't see anybody looking at these two cars and saying, well, the W12 goes 207 miles per hour and the V8 goes 198. I got to go with the W12 because I need that 207.
Right.
What about the 0 to 60 time for the V8? So compared to the W12's 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, the V8's going 0 to 60 in about 3.9.
Okay.
Boo-hoo.
Right.
Right? That is still really fast. That still has the hold on to your butt factor.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is really quick. So again, you're still getting that performance. So it's not like we're comparing Mercedes-Benz C300 to a C63 AMG when you're looking at the V8 versus W12 model Bentleys. Like I said, Bentley Motors has all that racing heritage in their history, so nearly every car they put out is going to be fast. Right? So that's just one thing that I wanted to point out to everybody, is that, you know, the V8 model just seems like the way to go for me on this car. And I strongly consider anybody to consider that. Now, as far as your driving dynamics are concerned, what would be a benefit of having a V8 over a W12? And I think that's pretty obvious for you car guys out there. When you're talking about sports cars and handling, obviously weight is a factor. And the V8 model weighs roughly 200 pounds less than the W12.
Okay.
So where's the engine located in this car? It's up front. So obviously more weight up front is gonna inhibit the handling of the car. It's gonna, not saying that the W12 doesn't handle well, it does, but you'd rather have less weight up front, which helps, you know, provide that sharper handling, a crisper feel. So if you want a luxury GT, but also want to have that sporty feel, why wouldn't you get a V8? You know, the V8 is definitely the way to go, in my opinion. So those are just a couple key factors that I wanted to point out. I think they're major factors. I love the way this car feels when compared to the W12. I think this car feels a little bit better, a little bit lighter on its feet, especially when you're taking this on a country road, on the corners and whatnot. But you're still getting all those features that typically back in the day, maybe 10 years ago in the GT range, you're getting all these features in this V8 that you would have had to get a W12 to enjoy. For example, if you look at the interior, back in the day when the first GT V8 came out, you know, it was hard to get one with the Mulliner specification. This one comes with the Mulliner specification. Notice you got the diamond embroidery on the doors and the seats. You know, over 2 miles of stitching went into this V8 model. So, you know, you can still get the Mulliner specification. There's really not a limit to the amount of options you can put in the V8 models now, which is why this is my favorite model in the lineup.
This hide should have been called Dinosaur.
Dinosaur? Why you say that?
Because that's how it looks. That kind of...
Ashy
yeah, like Raptor or something, you know.
So you want a cooler name? A porpoise is not cool enough.
No, sorry, off topic.
No, you can talk about it.
I kind of like this display though for this model. Anything sporty, I think that's better than the rotating screen. I feel like those can go into more of the more luxury, not that this isn't luxury, but like, you know what I'm trying to say, like the
just the W12 top of the line. Well, this does have the rotating display, but like I said again,
it's an option, right? But I'm just saying, if they want to stay more sporty, I would go with just the flat screen display.
I think that's a good point. I think that is a good point. It gives you just that more sporty feel to it. I never would have thought about that. That's a good point.
I like the way that this drives, the handling as well. And I've noticed I still get that little crackling. I can hear that noise when you're slowing down.
Exactly.
Which still gives me the feel of the sport, all of that.
See, that crackling and that exhaust note is what you're not getting in that W12.
Oh,
The
okay.
W12.
I kind of like that, believe it or not.
This sounds really good.
Yeah.
To me, the W12 exhaust note kind of sounds a little bit on the droney end. It's almost like a hum to it.
Oh.
This car, it sounds alive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just that quick pull off the line there, it just sounds so much more alive to me.
Yeah.
And that's with the windows up, you know. If you really wanted to get into it, you know, get the GTC model or, you know, drop a window and you really get to hear this car breathe. And, you know, just putting on some throttle right there, I noticed that, and it might just be me, but I feel like the V8 is more synced well with the 8-speed double clutch transmission in this car than it is with the W12. It just feels like this was the power plant meant to mesh well with that transmission.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something where you truly have to drive both cars to be able to feel the difference. To me, it's night and day. No lack of power whatsoever. And you're still getting, you know, your 48-volt active roll control system, your air suspension. You're getting all the features you get in the W12 in this V8.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is the car for me. This is it.
I like it.
I love this car. I really do.
Does this come in a convertible version?
Yeah, the GTC model. So you have a soft top model, and with the V8, you can get that as well. So you get the coupe or the GTC, in V8 or W12.
So this is the coupe.
This is the coupe.
So
Fixed roof.
Do they have a sedan version of this?
The sedan version technically hasn't come out yet. That's called the Continental Flying Spur.
Oh, okay.
Remember
I'm
we
ahead.
drove that. Remember several months ago we drove a green 4-door car. That was technically the sedan version of this.
Oh, okay.
But right now it's only available with the W12. I imagine later they're going to be coming out with the V8 model of that car.
Okay.
And again, that's going to change the handling of that car as well.
Right. Okay.
Some people understand that, you know, a smaller power plant doesn't necessarily always mean less performance, because I could argue that this car will handle better in the corners than the higher end W12 model. And again, you could just shift using the paddles behind the steering wheel, and you notice as soon as I drop a gear, you hear that engine start to breathe a little more.
Right, right. Ooh.
Right? I didn't even put my foot that much into that one. You could already feel the power and the crackling of that exhaust note. That's just something you're not getting in the W12. I don't care what anybody says. Now, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Now, since these Continental GTs are relatively new, probably a year or so from now, you know, Bentley's going to start offering sports exhaust systems, especially on this V8 model. And it really just makes this car sound even better than it does already. I'm moving!
Jeez.
I forgot to say hold on to your
Yeah,
butt, so I might have caught you off guard with that. Man, this car makes me feel so alive.
I'm alive.
Woo! Yeah, I've been stuck in the house all week, and I get to get up on Saturday in a city that's typically filled with traffic, and there's no traffic. So
yeah,
you're gonna have to
enjoy
excuse
it while
me.
you can. It's enjoying. It's kind of like you want it to be like this, but you don't want to be stuck in the house.
Right.
So
right.
where's the balance here?
Exactly. So that was my thoughts on that. Let me know what your thoughts are. Would you go with the V8, or are you the person who just has to have the top of the line just for bragging rights and have the W12? And if the W12 isn't enough for you, you know they're coming out with a W12 speed model. So again, it really just depends on what you really want. This isn't a game where it's like, how long is your money? At this level, you're spending a lot of money regardless. You really have to know what you want and what you're getting. So, any closing thoughts, Isha?
I mean, I enjoy the ride. I like it. Yeah, you know, I would get this model.
You would?
I would probably get it in convertible.
What color would you get?
Of course, red.
Red. And your interior would be what?
So I want to spec it out this time with.
Look at you! I want to spec it out.
You know, I want rose gold accents with that really deep burgundy. That would be so nice with the diamond stitching. I'm pretty sure they can do that, right? Probably with some cream accents as well, but make it just pops, just little pops.
See, for those options, you need some more money, and that again is, you would get that V8.
You got it.
I got it. You would get the V8 to save some money, and that way you could spend that money you would have spent on the W12 and to putting it into the options, getting it spec'd out the way you want.
You guys leave your comments below on how you would like spec out this option. I'm just kind of curious to see what everybody would kind of think, you know, what they would do with a model like this. If you would get the convertible or the rotating, all these
convertible,
extra,
coupe, rotating display,
all
V8,
these little extra
W12
features, or would you go with the W12? You know, is that more your style? If you want to risk it all, you know, on the road with the 207 miles per hour, whatever it was, just, you know, if you did that, you would catch me doing this, you know, like slow down. So
risk it all. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever I release new content.
Let me know if you guys want me to review a car.
We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.